All right, everybody. That was a hell of a way to start round two. Celtics take a 1-0 lead on the Cleveland Cavaliers in emphatic fashion. It's a post-game recap here at Green with Envy. So we're gonna do what we always do, and let's go ahead and let's lock in. What up, what up, what up? Welcome into another edition of Green with Envy. It is a post-game playoff recap. Celtics take a 1-0 series lead in the second round. This is your boy Will Weir checking in. How you doing? How you living? Joining me tonight to help talk about what was a festive affair tonight in game one. We got my best friend, co-host, the dad of the pod, it's the one and only, Greg Manakis. What's good, man?
Derek White's daddy tonight, baby. Woo! Derek White was on fire, bro. This was one of those games where, like, from the very beginning of the game, I was like, this other team that we're playing, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they might as well not have NBA jerseys on. Didn't belong in the same court, but they stuck around in the game for much longer than I expected them to. But it felt like a 20 to 30 point game the entire night, despite it being close until late.
I mean, this game kind of played out how we previewed this series, right? Like Donovan Mitchell is gonna have his bursts where he's gonna have his moments, and you're like, yeah, Donovan Mitchell's Donovan Mitchell, right? Like Donovan Mitchell is the type of class of player that no matter what series you put him in, he's going to have some moments, and that's basically what happened in this game today. Coupled with in that first half, they got I think Ernie Johnson talked about it at halftime. Isaac Okoro made 4 threes in a 7-game series in which he played quite a bit just last week, and he made 3 threes in the first half of this game, right? So you get those two together, you get a not great Jason Tatum shooting night, and to hang around. I mean, the final score is 120 to 95, and the Celtics win by 25 points. So that tells you a lot about what this series looks like from the jump. Before we get into teams that are going to try to make adjustments here, and we'll talk more about that probably more so on the live stream that we have coming this Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. We're going to be joined by Justin Rowan from the Cleveland Cavaliers podcast that is going to join us, the Chase Down podcast. He's going to join us on that show, so make sure you come lock in, bring some questions. We'll talk some more about what the Cavs do here going forward. But in this game, Greg, let me set it up. Let's do a quick old-fashioned little morning box score here.
Whoa. You dropping a morning box score? I'm gonna give me 1 second, bro. I gotta get this set. I gotta get this set up. I thought we were just rocking and rolling. All right. Give me 1 second.
I mean, we are, but that's kind of the rocking. That's kind of the rocking. That's part of the roll.
Good. Let's go.
So let's do it here. Let's do it. Celtics win 120 to 95. Up now 1-0, best of 7 series, round 2 at the TD Garden, game 2 coming on Thursday night. Let's start with the Cleveland Cavaliers. As I mentioned, Donovan Mitchell had a solid game, 12 of 25 from the field, 4 of 11 from 3, got to the line 5 times. He finished with 33.6 rebounds and 5 assists. Evan Mobley, don't be fooled by the stat line, 17 points, 13 rebounds, a lot of that coming in the fourth with the Celtics already basically with the game away, specifically talking about that point total. Darius Garland, 14 points, 6 of 15 shooting, and then overall 11 of 42 from the 3-point line for the Cavaliers. Much like we talked about in the Miami Heat series, they're going to have to shift the math. Did not do that tonight. Let's go over to the Celtics. Greg, you already said it. Derek White, pretty good guy. Derek White here. 9 of 16, 7 of 12 from the 3-point line, 25 points, 5 assists for Derek White. Jaylen Brown, let's not forget about him tonight. 12 of 18, 4 of 6 from the 3-point line. Red hot, scorching hot, evisceratingly hot, 4 of 4 from the free throw line tonight. 32 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists for him. Jason Tatum, we mentioned, didn't shoot the ball great. 7 of 19, 0 of 5 from 3, but 18 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks. So still finding the way to stuff the stat sheet. Drew Holiday, 14 points and 6 rebounds, 16 off the bench for Peyton Pritchard. And, Luke Cornett had 10 rebounds in this game, but his impact was felt in a lot of ways that we will get into. Celtics go 18 of 46 from the 3-point line. And Greg, this was like you said, this was Celtics from the beginning. The only minor disappointment, we text each other at halftime. Feels like we should be up by more than 10. That was about all that you could really say in this game. And some of that was, I mentioned Tatum was 0 of 5 from 3. Pritchard ended up 4 of 10 from 3 in that first half. I believe he was 1 of 6 and had about 3 or 4 wide open looks, like just really, really great looks that I think we all feel confident he will knock down, and did knock down in the second half. So, looking at this game, let's start with Derek White, just because I think either him or Jaylen Brown. I'll let you pick Derek White or Jaylen Brown. Who do you want to start with? Because they were both really special in this game.
Let's start with Jaylen because he's the one that set the tone at the very beginning of the game. JB, I thought, did a really good job getting early offense, and especially those 4 big free throws that you heard. I mean, that you referenced. When he hit the first one, it was off the front rim, probably touched every part of the rim. Hit the second one in a very simple.
Yeah.
He got to the line again right after that and swished both free throws. And I was like, is JB back? Is just the free throw thing a thing of the past? Did they just need to pump in all that volume into the Celtics practice facility to get him used to these game scenarios? But I was just so happy for him because it's clearly been weighing on him how poorly shooting at the free throw line. So that was really nice to see Jaylen get off to a good start. When he got fouled at the beginning of the game, I was like, oh, freaking of course. We're starting with Jaylen on free throws after him not being able to hit free throws 40% in the first series against the Heat. So, and it was really nice to see JB get going. And then one thing I want to talk about with Jaylen Brown, dude, when he drives to his left hand and he's got someone on his right shoulder and he just like rises up with 2 hands and dunks on people like he did to Okoro tonight. That's how I dunk in my dreams, where I'm like trying to go dunk the ball and I'm like, oh, I'm still going, I'm still rising. All of a sudden I'm dunking on people's heads. And that's what Jaylen Brown was bringing to the table tonight. He was physical. He was locked in from 3. He was locked in on defense. That block he had on Donovan Mitchell was a big moment in the game. Tatum also had a block on Mitchell. I think Luke got him a couple times. So Jaylen Brown was just locked in from the very beginning of the game. And he was the second best player on the court tonight because, as you said, Derek White was hooping.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty crazy to say, right? Jaylen Brown has 32 points in this game, and we're debating if he was the second best player in this game after all the stats that we just listed out. But that kind of brings us to Derek White. And what's one of the things that we've consistently said on this show is when Derek White's involved, good things will happen, right? Good things happen when Derek White has the ball in his hands. And it was funny, like this is right around, I don't know, I can't remember if it was the second, I think it was the third quarter when Derek White was heating up again, really, because he heated up a couple different times in this game. And I was thinking to myself, man, it's so rare that as long as we don't forget to use Derek White, it's so rare that he has a bad game, right? Like he just doesn't have bad games as long as we don't forget to use him. There's maybe 2 or 3 if you really dug into the archives of the season where it wasn't just a schematic or game plan misuse of Derek White or non-use of Derek White. If he's involved, if he's making decisions, he's usually making the right decisions, and things are it's really rare to see him have a bad game. And tonight, and really this whole postseason, I texted you kind of jokingly, is Derek White just our best player now? Like, I mean, part of it's a byproduct of the Jays, but if you watch these first, 6 postseason games, if you had never seen anything else or knew any of the background context of the Celtics, there's a chance you could watch these games and go, yeah, I think Derek White's probably their best player. Like, there's a chance that you could walk away with that thought.
Yeah, it's been either Jaylen or Derek for for the majority of the playoffs. I think it's been Derek, but Jaylen's had his moments. I think with Tatum, to your point, there's just so much emphasis from the defense where they're trying to take Jason Tatum out of the game. Tonight, it didn't really feel that way. It felt like Tatum just like wasn't able to beat Max Strus off the bounce. So that was a little bit alarming. But I think overall, with Derek White, Game 2 against the Heat, the one game we lost, we talked about the usage rating. We talked about Derek White having 11 usage rating until the fourth quarter. We had a 22% usage rating. And I would love to see what it is tonight. We don't have the advanced stats yet, but I'm sure it's going to be very, very high, as he was 9 for 16 from the field. He had 5 assists tonight, and he, to your point, was just making all the right decisions. There was one moment, I think it was maybe mid-4th or early 4th, where Tatum was bringing the ball up the court, And normally when Tatum's kind of bringing the ball up the court, everybody else just kind of goes to their areas, right? And Derek White was coming up the right side of the court, and Tatum looked at him and just passed him the ball, and he was like, "Dude, this is all you." You know what I mean? And I think those moments should become more frequent, where we just recognize Derek White is going to get us into some great offense, and we have these super dynamic wings that can play off ball and come off of pin downs and set screens and show that they are the versatile finished products that they've become, in their mid-20s now, where they're setting screens, they're rolling to the basket, they're, that little pin-in screen that Tatum loves to set for Horford, where it looks like Horford's going to screen for Tatum, and then Tatum ends up screening for Horford to pop out for a three-pointer. Like, Tatum's a really good screener, though he does get away with a lot of moving screens, but, so does Bam, and we just vanquished Bam in the last round. But I think with Derek White, dude, when he's empowered within the offense, not only by the coaching staff, but the other players on the court, it unlocks this other level of confidence. And we saw that. We talked about this in the last pod. We saw that through that huge stretch where he was on fire for 6 weeks in the middle of the season, when everyone was talking about him becoming an all-star. Goes on the JJ Redick podcast, a little bit of the JJ curse, and he comes back down to earth, right? So Derek White tonight, that was about as good as he can play. And it's just really nice that he's able to step up and Jalen's able to step up when Tatum's doesn't have it going.
So, question for you: how many times this season do you think Derek White shot 10 or more 3-pointers in a game?
Good question.
I have the answer here, so I will let you know.
But before you answer that, did you hear anything I just said, because you were just looking for this stat?
I heard parts of it here, but I knew where you were going with it.
I saw your face, and I was like, he's not listening anymore. This is 100% audience. Because
we're just showering Derek White with praise, so I know where this is going. I want to come up with a follow up here that I was curious of, and honestly, so what happened was I was like, I thought it was going to be low. The number was going to be lower than it was. I was like, oh, this will just be real quick, and then I was like, oh my god, this is a lot more than what I had anticipated. So I'll give you that hint.
Let's go 17.
Oh, you almost nailed it. It's 16 times. 16 times, and then now twice in the postseason. Or actually, excuse me, now 3 times in the postseason. All 3 of the last games he has shot 10 or more 3-pointers. So it's funny because I feel like in my head, I'm like, man, I love these games when Derek White just thinks he's Steph Curry. And there's times where he takes these heat check shots, and I love it. You know what? Derek White makes the right decision. So I'm never going to question a heat check shot from Derek White, but 19 times, including the postseason, that he shot over 10 threes in a game. That's a lot of 3-point attempts, but we've seen Derek White is more than capable of knocking those down. Tonight was just another night handling business, 7 of 12. It's just it's becoming it's interesting. It's becoming like Derek White still, even in my mind, feels like this is above and beyond what we can expect from Derek White. I think I just need to start expecting these type of nights from Derek White, right? And that's why it sounded so ridiculous, but not ridiculous, that it's reasonable that I could make a case that Derek White might be the Celtics' best player right now, even if a lot of that is a byproduct of the Jays. But because he has these type of nights on a consistent basis and has done it all season, this is not some Caleb Martin black magic that we're witnessing.
Right. It's white magic. I think at the end of the game, in the post-game interview, Stephanie Reddy, I think she was the sideline reporter. She was interviewing Jaylen Brown, and she asked him about Derek White, and he's like, what got into Derek White? And Jaylen he's like, you don't know about Derek White. Like, you're about to know. That dude has been balling, right? So if people are just tuning in, the Celtics fans that, pay kind of maybe follow the game through our podcast or through another Celtics podcast and look at the box scores, read the articles, but don't have necessarily the time to lock in until the playoffs. Now they're tuning in and they're seeing Derek White just ball out, right? And maybe they're not recognizing that the game plan isn't to stop Derek White, right? So that allows him, that's what you're saying, like, it's all about the Jays attracting all the gravity so Derek White can do his thing. But you still have to be talented enough to capitalize on doing your thing in those moments when all the defense is worried about what Jason Tatum's doing coming off a pin down and out of the left corner, or if you're getting Jason Tatum into the screening action, you're worried about where Tatum's going, or they ran that little 2-man game many times throughout the game, but they tried to get Darius Garland switched on to Jason Tatum. So it caused a lot of issues because they didn't want to switch Garland onto Tatum. So Derek White was able to walk into a couple 3-pointers as they were trying to get back, as Garland was trying to get back to White. So there was a lot of moments where it was the Jason Tatum gravity effect that allowed for Derek White to get off. And then there were other times where he just crosses up Sam Merrill, step back, like classic Steph Curry 3, wets it in his eye. That type of
It
Derek
really
White.
is Steph Curry at some of the shots that he puts up, right? Especially when he's shooting it off the dribble. It's just become really, really impressive. And one of the things you mentioned, Darius Garland there, that was one of the things that we highlighted in our preview is very much treating Darius Garland the way that they treated Tyler Hero in the previous series. And they didn't quite put him in the post as much, but they definitely were attacking Darius Garland, early and often in this game. And I think that's just going to be something you see game in, game out of this series, is that as much they're going to have to play Garland because they need his offense, but if he's going to be on the court, that is going to be a guy the Celtics will hunt with really any of their guys that they have on the court. So that's going to be a trouble spot for the Cavs to try to figure out. Sticking with the Celtics here for a minute. Who else do you want to highlight? Should we go to the Luke praise here? Because I think Luke needs some praise. I don't know. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Give me your thoughts on Luke first, and then I'll give you mine.
Yeah, I mean, listen, one of the big factors that we said going into the series is we need to manage Al Horford's minutes, right? So keeping his minutes manageable in about the 25 to 28 minute range. Tonight, he's right at 28 minutes, right? And I think even going up to 30, that's fine. But we can't have 35-minute Al nights. We just can't have it for the long run. And so the biggest factor in that is how Luke plays, right? Luke is going to be the guy that gets the shot. Tillman got in a little bit of run. I know you texted me. It's pretty cool. Tillman got like a 3-minute run, and you could see the bench was hyped for him. He played good in those 3 minutes that he was in, but you could see how locked in the bench was when he came back. And so it's between those two, but specifically on Luke, the minutes that he gives is going to be what preserves Al for the long run of what we're seeing, in the Western Conference. Obviously, on the other side of the Eastern Conference bracket, Mitchell Robinson just got, is out for the Knicks now, but still they've got some bigs to contend with that we're going to need some Al Horford minutes to defend. So you're really looking to try to make sure you can keep him healthy. And so Luke is going to be key for that. And when Luke came in tonight, it kind of shifted the game a little bit when Luke was in there, because I think the Cavs went into a mentality and they were attacking Al in the drop coverage, right? So they kind of went into that mentality of, all right, Luke's in here. Like, Al Horford's a better defender than Luke, and we were attacking him. Let's go attack Luke. And Luke held up. Luke didn't even just held up. Luke excelled. Like, Luke, stat line tonight, 4 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks, two assists. Love that little pass he had to Jason Tatum on the baseline when he was the roll man. That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was really nice.
That was a great play by Luke Cornett. I just think Luke was incredibly impactful in this game, and I think everyone could feel it that was watching it. This was absolutely, I don't know if there's a more perfect game I could have described. Like, this is what I want from Luke in this series, was everything that we got tonight.
Yeah, and if you think back to the Dean Wade game, the game that we all love reliving, Luke Cornett was really good in the first half of that game. He was giving the Cavs a ton of trouble. And then in the second half, I remember you and we potted about this right after, where I was screaming at Joe Mazzulla for not adjusting in the second half when the Cavs went small and they had George Nang and who barely played tonight, by the way. The second straight
we'll
game,
talk about that in a second. I thought that was kind of weird, but
yeah, he only played three minutes in game 7 as well. But Luke was in the game covering Dean Wade and covering George Nang in the fourth quarter of the Dean Wade game, and Joe didn't make an adjustment, right? He didn't go to Xavier Tillman. That was right after we had gotten Tillman, and we were like, why? This is the moment. Play Xavier Tillman. He can guard out to the perimeter. And Mazzulla didn't recognize that in time. But in the first half of that game, Luke, I think the reason why Joe stuck with him so long is because he was killing it in the first half of that game. And I think people forget that Luke Cornett is 7'2". He's so goofy. The Cornett contest, all the stuff with Luke Cornett that makes him seem harmless on the court, when in fact he is a very large human being. He plays great drop coverage. He's a stout rim defender, and he's always in the right position. Basically, he's Daniel Tice at 7'2".
It's so funny you said that, because I remember a couple of years ago, I think it might have been around the bubble. The NBA on TNT guys don't they're not the most locked in game to game, especially with like, bench rotations. And so I remember them being like, this Daniel Tice guy, Daniel Tice. And all of a sudden, for the next like 2-3 years, NBA DMT guys were like, man, Daniel Tice can play. And we're like, okay, he's fine. You just didn't know who he was. So now to him,
Yeah.
you're like overvaluing who he is. But I kind of felt like that again tonight, where they were like, hey, Luke Cornett, shout out to Luke Cornett, man. I was like, yeah, Luke can play. Luke's a real guy out there. I see our guy Fred here in the chat. Y'all peep the Easter egg of the Al Cornett X minutes. T-Wolves prep begins. Oh my God. That's a whole other subject that will take a lot longer to get into, talking about what we saw last night in that T-Wolves game. But
can I highlight another comment? This was the first comment of the night from Landon. Landon says, got to be better defensively deeper in the playoffs. This won't do it versus a finals opponent. And, I agree that the first quarter was bad. They let up 34 points in the first quarter, but then they let up 15 points in the second quarter. If we go to the breakdown by quarter, do we have it up here? Let's see.
I got it. I can read it off here. So it was 40 to 34 in the first. Let's just go for the Cavaliers here. So it was 34 points in the first quarter, 15 in the second, 28 in the third, and then back down to 18 in the fourth. I will add, once again, out of that 34 in the first, and I'm with you, the defense could have been a little bit sharper in that first quarter. 8 Isaac Okoro points in there, including 2 threes. So a little bit of an anomaly with the way that he performed offensively early on. And those are obviously some shots that you're going to live with from Isaac Okoro.
Yeah, in the second quarter, when they have to go to their lineup where they have Tristan Thompson and Marcus Morris, like what year is it on the court together?
5 years ago. That's a hell of those 2 guys that you really want to have in your rotation. But
2 legendary former Celtics.
2024.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the time for it.
No, I mean their lineup was literally I mean this is when Mitchell was out. It was Darius Garland, Sam Merrill, Karis LeVert, Marcus Morris, and Tristan Thompson. You're not going to beat the Celtics if that's your bench unit. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. So this is why, I read the comments, Will, from our last episode that we posted where we said the Celtics should sweep the Cavs, where I said, let's make it a little spicy, Will. Let's make that title a little spicy. And it definitely got some people flush in the face. But this is why we felt like the Celtics should and could sweep the Cleveland Cavaliers. The talent deficit is so high. And my brother texted me with about 4 minutes left in the game, and he said, it looks like Mitchell's knee just flared up. And I thought he was talking about Mitchell Robinson because of the report came out that Mitchell Robinson's going to miss the rest of the playoffs. And he was like, not Mitchell Robinson, Donovan Mitchell. He was limping.
Was your brother at the Garden? Was he at the game?
I don't know if he was at the game. He could have been, maybe. Okay. I know he has season tickets, but he said that he looked like his knee flared up. I'll have to clarify with him if he was at the game. And this is another thing. Throughout that Magic series, Mitchell had some moments, but he also had some moments where he looked like he was really laboring. And if they're going to ask Donovan Mitchell to put on the Superman cape to win a game against the Celtics, maybe he could do it. He can't do it. I mean, he was trying to.
There's zero chance he can do it for
He was trying to tonight. He was trying to put the Superman cape on tonight. And then it was just like, damn, like, I don't have any help.
Yeah, where's my help? I mean, Kenny Smith highlighted this at halftime, right? Just like, here's how hard the Cavs have to work to get one basket. The Celtics have offensive sets where the Jays are taking plays off, where the Jays are resting, and we're running, pick and rolls with Drew Holiday and Luke Cornett, and Peyton Pritchard's getting a kick out 3, right? Like, those possessions do not happen for the Cavaliers unless 80% of the time Donovan Mitchell, and then the other 20% is kind of on Garland, and maybe there's a little mixture of Karis LeVert can try to go one-on-one, but like, that's really about it. That's kind of where all of their offense has to come from. Whereas the Celtics, they have so many different ways. We talked about everything with Derek White tonight. I just gave you an example of, 4 guys playing that weren't Derek White, that weren't Jaylen Brown, that weren't Jason Tatum, that all made contributions. And then you have, a guy like Sam Hauser or Al Horford, who's just spreading out, and they're going to get wide open looks for 3 off of penetration, off of pick and rolls, whatever it might be, off of a post up from Jaylen Brown or from Drew Holiday. Like, the list goes on and on. And so it just feels like I don't know. I'm very curious to talk to Justin Rowan on Thursday to hear what is the way that they get back in this series, or what is the way that they have to play to
They're
make
not
this a
getting back in
competitive
the
series.
series, man. They're
Well,
not
how
getting
do
back
they make
in
it a
the series.
competitive? How do they make it a competitive series? That's kind of
Well,
the
Jared Allen coming
question.
back would help. Jared Allen coming back would
So
help. They
Jared Allen coming back, and you mentioned like they're playing a lot of Tristan Thompson, Marcus Morris, and listen, I know Niang's not a great defender. I was expecting just for his offensive potential and being able to spread the floor a bit more for guys like Mitchell and Garland that we would see George Niang. I was a little surprised to see. I mean, I guess Morris can provide that as well, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's just tough. You're just gonna. It's very similar to the Heat, even though Jared Allen, Jimmy Butler not on the same level, but you're just trying to plug holes with something that might work. Maybe Sam Merrill gets hot. Maybe Marcus Morris goes into what was your theory back in the day? Black shoes. Marcus Morris was that was when he was on like a borderline all-star level for like 3 weeks with the Celtics or something like that. So I don't know. They're just trying to catch lightning in a bottle from somebody outside of Mitchell. And like Garland hasn't even been that dude. I can't even say outside of Mitchell and Garland. It's really just what can we get from people outside of Donovan Mitchell. And if you're the Cavs and you get, a 7 of 19 night, 18 points from the Celtics' best player, and you lose by 25, not great.
It's not great.
Like, it's not looking good.
Well, when I think about the Cavs and the game that they beat the Celtics, the Dean Wade game, they just shot a bunch of threes in the fourth quarter, right? That's how they beat us. They shot a bunch of threes, and the Celtics decided they just weren't going to cover people out to the 3-point line. And you juxtapose that with the game tonight, where in the fourth quarter, what did the Cavs do on offense, Will? They went to Evan Mobley in the post for 2-point baskets against Luke Cornett. Like, that's not going to get you back from a 25-point deficit, right? So that was the Celtics' strategy in the fourth quarter, was we're going to hug up on the 3-point line because their only way to win this game is to shoot threes. We're not going to let them shoot threes. Yeah. So Evan Mobley, go nuts. Pretend like you had a good
game. He had 10 of his 18 in the fourth quarter.
yeah. Like okay, good. Go.
And they scored 18 points total. They scored 18 points total in the fourth 18
quarter. Points is Evan Mobley in the paint.
Yeah.
That's not going to get you back from 25 points, man. I'm not trying to trash the Cavs. It's just like the reality of the situation is they have to have an out-of-body experience for them to even have a chance to hang with the Celtics. The Celtics are too good. So
and they need the Celtics to shoot themselves in the foot. That's really the other side of this, right? Is that the Celtics
2 turnovers in the first half? I think they were both by Pritchard. None in the first quarter.
Yeah, I think that probably sounds about right. Let me see here. I think I got this pulled up now. First half. No, they don't have that box score for the first half. But yeah, I think that sounds right. It was something to that effect. And like one of them was, Peyton Pritchard stepped out of bounds when he caught a ball on the 3-point line. So it was a good night for the Celtics. They forced
6 turnovers. Pritchard had 3 of them.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, so honestly, just a really good night for the Celtics. It's really hard to find much to be too upset about. I mean, Drew Holiday had 14 points. He shot the ball 14 times, 6 of 14, but I felt better about his offensive performance tonight than I did in the last series. Even though he still went 6 of 14, which isn't amazing, but I still felt better about his involvement offensively. And then just like we said, defensively, the Celtics are connected and when and where's it? I don't know where the offense is coming from in Cleveland. I just don't. Other than Donovan Mitchell put on that cape, like you said, I just don't know where it's coming from. If you put Jared Allen back in, yeah, you get a little bit more of that screen and roll game, but it's not like he's going to be lighting it up from 3 or even hitting mid-range jumpers. He's not going in the post one-on-one against anybody. Like, it will make a difference defensively having his presence at the rim, but I don't think it's enough to shift this series. And we should note before the game, there was nothing definitive, but a lot of murmurs and rumblings that Kristaps Porzingis, a lot of people are kind of expecting Kristaps to maybe play in the series now or for him to make an appearance. I would hope not. But that was some of the pregame rumblings that were going around from, there was no direct sources that would tie their names to it, but
keep those rumblings underground.
I'm with you. I agree. I don't want to see KP in this series at all. Not at all, especially when I see what I'm watching out west. Like, that's all I care about is until we actually definitively need Kristaps, if we do this round or next round, I don't want to see him to the finals, if I'm being honest. Maybe for like some warm up or tune up or, whatever, get the legs back underneath it, when we get there. But anything else you want to hit on this game? I think we've kind of hit just about everything here as we set up game 2 on Thursday night.
Buzzer beater P.
Buzzer beater, dude, loving
buzzer beaters.
I'm telling you, if the Celtics, I don't care if it's the fourth quarter, if the Celtics aren't going to be able to get into a half court set, which they haven't been great at in the clutch anyways, which has been discussed time and time again, just give the ball to Peyton. I don't give a shit if Jason Tatum's our best player. I don't give a crap about Jaylen Brown, Derek White, like Peyton Pritchard. If you have to get off a last second shot for a quarter or a game and you're not getting past, the, let's say 35 feet to the basket, just give it to Peyton. Give it to Peyton. I think that's our best chance.
Dude, he loves it. I tweeted out during the game. It's like he plays end of quarter situations like he's 10 years old, counting down in his backyard. Like he loves those situations where everybody else kind of shies away from that. Pritchard's like the first guy, like, give me the fucking ball, dude. I go shoot this shit. And like it's an adrenaline rush for him to shoot those end of quarter heaves. And he's good at it, man.
He's good at it.
He's really good. It's great to see. It's just a fun moment. That's one of those things. If you're kind of following the team, like I said earlier, through the box scores, not tuning into every single game, maybe you didn't see Peyton Pritchard try to shoot every buzzer beater possible this year, but this is what Peyton Pritchard does. At the end of a quarter, he will try to shoot the buzzer beater. So it's a fun thing to pay attention to.
It could be game 1 of the playoffs. It could be game 42 against Memphis. It could be a Tuesday night in February. Like Peyton Pritchard wants the ball every single time at the end of a quarter. He's not worried about his field goal percentage. He's getting that shot up and he relishes in it. And he saw it tonight, knocked it down. It was a big time shot. And so like I said, if we get in those moments in games where it's really tight and it could make a difference, give the ball to Peyton. Full trust in him. Full trust in him for those shots. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. As I mentioned, on Thursday, we'll have a live stream ahead of game 2. We are going to be joined by Justin Rowan, the Chase Down podcast. He'll help us talk about what does Cleveland do, and let's see if we can talk about what might be some different adjustments Monday on a league pass against the Hornets. I like the reference, Fred.
Hey,
appreciate you guys.
Peters, Monday on league pass against the Hornets. That's just what he does.
Oh, man. Celtics lead the series 1-0, back at it Thursday night. Greg, as always, it is a pleasure. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Here's a little Black Sheep Optimist on the way out, and we will catch you guys later this week. Peace.
Every time I get this high, I lose my mind. It don't take much no more until I hit the floor. Every time I get this high, it's you I find. It don't take much no more until I'm at your door.
Cut me to my core, baby. What can I say? You got me on the floor, I came to play. I know I shouldn't, but you seem to take my pain away. And every time I score, Jason Tatum fade away. I close my eyes and I'm floating your river. I call to see if you open, I hope you deliver.